Hello, welcome to my channel. In this video I'm going to show you how to install a virtual machine on Proxmox, which I showed you in another video how to install. What I'm going to do is install Ubuntu desktop this time, so it'll look like a normal Ubuntu machine, but it can be accessed remotely via your network or via the internet if you set up a VPN. So what I'm going to do is first of all you need to download the ISO for the virtual machine you want to install. So just the normal ISO, this is Ubuntu 22.04 from the Ubuntu website, is already downloaded on this machine, and it's in the downloads directory. So we have to upload this to the server. So we go to the storage tab, local, and ISO images. At the moment there are none, so I'm going to upload the one I just mentioned. So I'm going to select the file and look in my downloads directory. Here it is, Ubuntu 22.04, selected. So there it is. Press upload and that will upload. It'll take it a second or two because it's how big is it? Some gigabytes. It's 4.8 gigabytes, so that's going to take a few seconds. Once you've done this, though, of course, you can install as many virtual machines as you like from this particular ISO image. What I find even better is to create the first machine I install into a template, and then I use that template to copy to make more virtual machines without having to go through the whole install procedure again or uploading ISOs like this. So it makes it very fast if you want to mass produce virtual machines. Anyway, that's just about finished uploading. So let's have a look, see what happened. I've been waiting now for the OK to appear here, because it's actually moving that file, there we are, from a temporary directory into the right place. Task OK, so it's uploaded. And if we look here now in ISO images, there it is. So now create a virtual machine. You press the button, create VM, and what am I going to call it? Let's call it U22, because it's Ubuntu 22. The ID is just the number 101. You can change this if you like. I've already got number 100, so it's going to be number 101. All the other settings here I'm going to leave as defaults on most of these tabs. So what's the operating system I want to install? It's from this ISO image, that one, the only one I've got. Yeah, this has been auto-detected, it's correct. And then we can give it some hardware. Let's give it a graphics card. I'm going to give it Spice. You'll see why later. There's a nice interface for remote viewing the machine. These can all stay the same. I'm going to install this QEMU agent, which is useful when you put a machine on a server like this. You don't need TPM or anything like that. Disks, well, 32 gigabytes is a bit big. Let's give it 24 gigabytes because there's only 120 gigabyte SSD in this server. For demonstration purposes, that's enough. CPU, let's give it 4 cores. Why not? And memory, let's give it a bit more than that. Let's give it 4,000 megabytes. That's 4 gigabytes in memory. This machine only has 8 gigabytes in total at the moment. Network connection is going to be bridged to VMBR0. That's the main Ethernet connection into this Proxmox server. If you go to confirm, then you can confirm the settings if you want. I'm going to hit start after created to stop me having to press the button. And then you press finish, and that will start creating the virtual machine. You see it's already made an icon for it here, number 101, and that'll take a few seconds to create the machine and then start it. Oh, it's already started. That was not too slow, even on this fairly slow server. So let's click on it, and here's a summary. CPU 4 cores, memory this much is being used of the 4 gigabytes. I gave it roughly 24 gigabyte hard drive, so that's what I set up. And if we look at console, then that will show the machine as it is starting up, and hopefully it will pop up the usual interface that you get when you boot Ubuntu from a USB stick on a normal computer. But of course this time it's being served up in a virtual machine from an ISO file that's stored on the machine. While it's doing that, let's look at the hardware it's got. These are the things I already set. What I could do is I can add some. Let's add an audio device in case you want sound, and this one is fine, so let's add that. It's orange because it's not actually active yet. You have to shut down the machine and start it up again for this to become active, then it will turn white, but that's just in advance. I've given it an audio device. Display, I told it to use Spice. Okay, so let's see if it's actually booted yet. Maybe I should have done this video on a faster computer. Okay, there's something happening. Oh, there it is. So it's booting up into the Ubuntu desktop that you might be familiar with, and it's being viewed on the console tab of Proxmox. I should have used a faster machine. So what I want to do is install it. I'm not going to take you through all the stages of installing Ubuntu because you've probably done this before. But this time it's just in a virtual machine instead of on real hardware. So I won't go through all these steps where you put in usernames and passwords and so on. So I'll just pause the video and come back to you once it's rebooted, and I'll show you what to do next. The install is now finished. One other thing I should have mentioned is that as well as the usual settings, it says, do you want to overwrite the hard drive and all data will be destroyed, and you have to say yes, because it's only talking about the virtual machine hard drive, that 24 gigabytes I gave it. It doesn't mean the hard drive for the whole server. It's a protected environment only within the virtual machine. So you say yes to that, and then eventually you get to this point, restart now. So you press restart. And what I'm going to do while it's restarting is remove the ISO from the hardware list, so stop it booting from it again. There's a CD DVD drive here, and actually it's probably asking me to press enter, in fact, but let's remove this anyway. Do not use any media, like that. Let's go back to the console, and it probably says press enter to continue. Yeah, there we are. So I'm going to do that now. That's delay is in there in order to let you pull out the USB drive you're booting from before the machine reboots. That's why I think they put that there. Anyway, it's rebooting now, as you can see, into the familiar Ubuntu desktop. And of course there are other settings you might want to set up on the virtual machine, this desktop machine. But what I'm going to show you now is, while it's doing that, is let's use the console. If you press console, it'll give the default I set, which was Spice. Let's just use the standard one first, no VNC, and there you can see it's opening up in a window from a web browser with this IP address of the server using the no VNC protocol, and it works. I think copy paste doesn't work into this particular viewer, and also sound is not relayed through it, so I don't usually use it. So let's close it. It's also flickering a bit. And instead, let's use Spice to access the console. And as you can see, it doesn't work straight away because all you get is a file downloaded, and that file contains the connection information, but that's not going to help to display anything. So what I need to do is, on the machine that I'm using, I have to install a Spice viewer. So how do we do that? Sudo apt install virt-viewer. Okay, did I spell it right? Password. Hopefully that's working. Yes. So we need to install that. There's also a Windows version of this if you're using a Windows machine to access your server and these different virtual machines. Maybe I'll put the link in the description below. So that's now installed. So let's go back to here and try again. So console Spice. It's downloaded the file again, but this time I'm going to click on it, right click, and say always open similar files. So it will open it, and next time it gets one of these, it'll also automatically open it. And here it is. Let's just double click to get it full screen. Just say hello to that for the moment. Typical demonstration. It's only half a page. Why is that? Anyway, I'm going to click on this and log in using the password I set. So it looks like I'm using a real computer, but it's actually a virtual machine viewed with this remote viewer to virtual machine number 101 running on that server. And as you can see, it's just the normal Ubuntu desktop. Let's skip all these things. Let's not do that. So there it is. There's a virtual computer running in a virtual machine, This is just one of them, but of course if I go back to my server, there it is, there's the one. You can install a lot more of these, all kinds of different operating systems and different things, and you can pass through hardware to these different virtual machines if you plug in external USB devices or Wi-Fi adapters or cameras or whatever. I'm going to be plugging in radio nodes for Meshtastic or Reticulum in the future. Another thing that's useful to do at some point is to make a backup. When you've got things set up how you want them, and in case you're afraid of messing up the install, you can just hit backup. You press the backup now version button, and it will create a compressed backup which is stored on the server, which you can then restore in the future if something goes wrong. So there's quite a lot that you can do here. The other thing I like to do sometimes, as I mentioned earlier, is if I right-click on this, I can convert it to a template. This means that I can no longer run it as a virtual machine. It's only a template, but I can clone those templates into more and more virtual machines to create a whole farm of virtual machines that are all listed down here. Maybe I'll show that in another video. That's enough for now. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to reading your comments and questions.